Hi, we're in London and we're asking men whether they would date a trans woman or not. Would you date a trans woman?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
They're women, aren't they? Yeah.
So you're saying you would
Yes.
because that. Sorry, if I've heard you right, that person identifies as female.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty open to date anyone, but trans women are women, so I don't see any reason why not.
So that's, I guess, that's the important thing that the audience wants to know about sort of anything controversial with regards to where we're at in society. Is that the majority of people say trans women, i.e. born biological men, which everyone agrees on.
Yeah.
Trans women are therefore women.
Yes.
And why is that? What makes them a woman if they're born biologically male?
They identify as a woman, for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter, because if they think that if they say that they're a woman and identify as a woman, then they are a woman. So
Sorry, I understand. So it's a feeling thing, it's a personality thing, it's an identity.
It's who you are.
Biology isn't. So if I've got it right, biology doesn't matter.
No, biology doesn't dictate who you are. No.
Okay, fine. So you would, regardless of orientation, you would date a trans woman because you see them as a man or as a woman, but because you would be open to dating a woman. Okay, I have to get my rhetoric right. You would be open to dating a woman in general.
Yes.
And you see a trans woman as a woman.
Yes.
And that's based on the fact that they identify and feel like that, and it's not to do with biology and certainly not to do with surgery. You wouldn't be influenced whether they've had surgery or not.
No. It wouldn't change my mind. No.
Okay. Would you date a trans woman?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I mean, I don't think that's called what I want to do. I don't think. I think I'm just kind of like, just neutral about it and just go with my own.
Could you speak up a tiny bit?
With my opposite gender, that's about it. I think that's as far as I go.
So the way that I describe a trans woman is as a biological male.
Yeah.
So if I was to be asked that question, I would say no. And I would say no for lots of reasons. One of them is that I'm not gay. Would you date a trans woman?
Yeah.
Why?
Because although they were biologically born as a male, they're still a woman because they feel like a woman. So even if they change their bodies biologically, that's how they feel. So if someone's into women, they should accept dating trans women as well. I know it can be sometimes a little bit challenging, but I think it should be something that should be more normalized. And I think it doesn't mean that you're part of like any community, and I don't think it challenges your sexuality. And I think that's why some people think it's not okay for them.
So I think two very important points. It wouldn't be homosexuality for a biological male to date a transgender woman.
I don't think so.
And second of all, I think one of your points was it was kind of around normalising it and not looking at it as stereotypical or as controversial, etc. You wouldn't have an issue with a biological heterosexual male saying no, I wouldn't. You've said you would, but you wouldn't have an issue with a heterosexual male saying no because that's a biological male.
I would respect their opinion because I know it can be a little bit difficult for some people, but I think people have to be educated more that trans women are still women, even though if they're biologically born as a male.
So just one last point. You've mentioned a couple of times about the education piece, potentially for heterosexual males, that a trans woman is someone born a biological male is someone who identifies as a woman, and then therefore as a result of that identity, that makes them a woman.
Yeah.
Are you able to explain that or justify that?
Well,
other than of course they feel it.
Well, I mean, it's just you're born. Sometimes your biological body does not define who you truly are. So when people transition to the other gender, it's not like they want to change their gender. They're changing to become who they truly feel. So that's why I don't think when a heterosexual man dates a trans woman, it doesn't mean that they're homosexual or anything, because at the end of the day, that woman is still a woman.
Does it matter whether they've had surgery or not? So would you date a trans woman regardless of whether they've had surgery or not? Is surgery a factor at all? Because we've spoken very much about identity and personality.
Mm-hmm. Well, I personally haven't had that experience, and I don't...
But would you then?
I truly don't know. I guess sometimes that's honestly a challenging one. I
Yeah, if no surgery had happened, because obviously surgery often happens,
Yeah.
but with a trans woman, if no surgery had happened, so they're both a biological male, and they've chosen to not have surgery as well.
Well, one thing is choosing not to, and another thing is not being able to because they can't afford it.
Sure.
I think most, if not all, trans women, if they were able to transition, they would. But some people can't, and I think it's just.
But if they
you
hadn't,
have to be.
would that change
If
your
they
opinion?
hadn't.
Because I'm not going to presume anyone's sexuality here. Anyone we speak to today. So if they hadn't, would you still stand by that you would date a
because at the end
trans?
of the day, they're still a woman.
Because they're still a woman.
Yeah, it would be maybe a little bit more difficult, but you know, if you really love that person, you would see them for who they truly are, and not
Understood.
just their biological self.
That's great. Would you date a trans woman?
I personally wouldn't,
Why not?
because it just goes against my beliefs, and I don't feel comfortable doing that.
When you say beliefs, do you mean core values or do you mean religion?
Religion and core values, I guess. Of course, like everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and their own preferences. That's just my preference,
And obviously, we're hearing a mixed bag. There's two answers you've given that we normally hear. That's one of them, i.e., it goes against my beliefs or it goes against my preferences. Sometimes religion's involved. If you would unpack that for us, so you've answered similarly to how I would respond if I was asked the question, because I'm heterosexual, so I wouldn't date a biological male because I'm heterosexual. Would you expand on why you wouldn't date a trans woman, so a biological male?
I wouldn't date. Well, firstly, dating is not actually something I would do. I'd go straight into marriage rather.
Sure. Let me rephrase then. Would you marry a trans woman?
Would I marry a trans woman? No.
Why?
I wouldn't do that because in my beliefs and my core values, like sexual relations are supposed to be between men, biological men, and biological women.
Would you date a trans woman?
It depends on the emotional connection. Because I don't know, if it was for just the experience, I think I need experience to be 100% sure, but in the future aspect of having a family which I is interested in, I would like to experience it, but I'm not sure if I would like to, build a future with that person.
Great. Would you date a trans woman?
Nah, over religious beliefs, because I've got my wife anyways, so.
Oh, okay. So I'll rephrase: if you were single,
Yeah.
if you weren't married, sorry.
Nah, not any. I ain't got anything against them. I ain't got anything. They can be free whatever they like, but for religious aspects, because my religion don't follow that, and I strictly abide by that. That's why.
So when we talk about it, so the way that I define a trans woman is a biological male.
Yeah.
So when you say you wouldn't date a trans woman, is there a reason why you wouldn't? You say it's for religious beliefs, which a lot of people say.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you date a trans woman?
Just for religious beliefs, to be honest. Yeah,
Anything
that's it.
specific about that? I won't
No.
presume your religion. So
Yeah.
anything specific?
No, it's not just that. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying it's wrong, but either way, when you're born with a gender identity, male or female, right? And when you die on your paper, it will either be female or male. At the end of the day, it's just the in-between talks that come up as like transgender, gay, bisexual. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that either.
No, you're entitled to your opinion.
I'm just, even if I'm entitled, I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with that, but still, like, you just gotta see it in a way. That's how I see it from my own perspective. Where you die as a male or female, and you are born a male and female at the end of the day. So either way, it takes a man and a woman to procreate to make more children, more society.
You wouldn't date a biological male
No.
because
I
you are
wouldn't.
not homosexual.
Yeah.
Great.
Not homosexual. Man. That's
Sure.
why-
No, I'm just deconstructing what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm heterosexual, man. I'm straight. But other than that, no issues with transgenders. But that's my personal belief.
Sure. Thanks for that, mate.
Have a wonderful day. So.
Yeah, you too.